Well, hello everyone. I see a few other Michelles in the house, which is great. You can also call me Mish. Um, that's me. And we also have Christa, my co-host of Brand Together and also my co-founder of our business Community Academy. Essentially, we created Community Academy because we are so passionate about growing brands in a very specific way, which is through community building. And we realize that we have a lot to share and a lot to teach on this front. And that's why we created Community Academy. We do have a master class that is rooted in all of the principles of community marketing. So that is that. And then as we were creating this business, we also realized how many just incredible folks we have in our network that we want to hear from. And we want the world to hear more from as well. The world needs community more than ever right now. I think we could probably all agree. Can I get some head nods on the group? And so that's where that was the genesis of Brand Together. It's these monthly conversations. It is meant to be conversational. And we are going to hear from our special guest today, Robbie. And you will all have a chance to interact with him as well at the end of the sesh. All right, that's us. Now we want to get to know you all a little bit better. So no need to come off mute, but we will ask if you can just get the chat going. We're going to fire up that chat. You can just say where you're joining us from in the world. If you're here connected to a brand or a business, you can shout that out. And then what inspired you to join our convo today? So just, think it through, start getting the chat going. And then we're gonna move ahead, but we'll be keeping our eye on that chat. So thanks in advance for helping us build a community here with Brand Together. Okay, so without further ado, Robbie T, as we fondly call him, is someone who is a very special person in our lives as a dear friend, but also as a former colleague and as someone we have admired over the years. Robbie is best in the world, we feel, at building community. He truly just is a community builder at heart. Some of you who have spent any time in Vancouver, you may remember Robbie from such half marathons as the SeaWheeze on as the leader of
Pace Beavers. I'll just like fill in the blanks. It was the pacing group.
pacing group. Thank you. You're unclear what a pace beaver is. And Robbie currently sits in a really cool role as VP of Performance and Leadership Development at PAC. So oh my gosh, why am I blanking? Robbie, PAC,
Pro
please.
athlete community. There
Thank
you
you.
go.
In just a second, I'm going to kick it over to Robbie to share a little bit more about what he does with PAC. But first, this is a bit of this is becoming a tradition now as a way to kick off Brand Together conversations. We're going to get to know Robbie a little bit better through a series of rapid fire questions. So, Robbie, first, what's a nickname that you have that might not widely be known other than Robbie, of course?
So my last name is Tubajon. So it's either Tubbs, Turbo, Turbonium, Toblerone, or Robbie Bobby. That's a big one at PAC right now.
Robbie
Turbo,
Bobby.
turbo.
Yeah.
This is giving Laser, one of my
Yeah.
nicknames based on my last name. All right. Tubbs, what's your favorite pastime?
Uh, this is gonna sound like really sick, but right now it's marathon training. But it's not just the marathon training, it's like the whole program. I sound like a sick workout freak, but like the work, like doing all my strength workouts, doing all my mobility workouts, getting yelled at by my coach. Like there's something about it that I just love. Like it just drives me. So that's a pastime, if that's what you would consider a pastime.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all, I don't know, I'm in awe of you for what you're about to accomplish. It's the New York Marathon that you're training for? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No big
Yep.
deal.
I'm basically just trying to get myself dressed in the morning, but you know, each their own. What lives rent free in your mind, Robbie?
Um, dog memes. Like it could be anywhere from like the dogs that tell on each other when they're bad. You know, have you seen those ones where like a dog does something really bad and then the other dog,
Claire is
like those, or
furiously
like
nodding.
yeah, like just any type of funny dog memes. I have a group that we share dog memes together, and it's kind of ridiculous. So,
Okay.
yeah, if you're on Instagram, if you find a dog meme, like send them my way for sure.
And what can't you live without other than dog meat?
Uh, I would say first and foremost, my girlfriend Lauren, maybe because she's on the call right now, listening, so I'm scoring some points.
Lauren.
Hi,
But
Lauren.
also,
Whoop, whoop.
coffee. I would say coffee is something that I couldn't live without. Just like
Anyone else
love it.
can't live without coffee? As a show of head nods or hands. Yeah.
I don't want to. Does that count? I could, but I choose
Somewhat,
coffee.
but you
No,
still.
I choose.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We have one last rapid fire question, and this I could see us eventually creating a little talent show out of our past Brand Together guests. But what is your hidden talent?
Yeah. I can nap anywhere. Like literally I could be in a busy mall and I could just like lie on a bench and fall asleep if I needed to. Like I could like nap on uh yeah, whenever you just say nap. I'm like that. You know, when the magician is like sleep, like that's me when it comes to napping.
Oh my gosh, amazing. So if anyone sees Robbie out there in the world and he's asleep, napping, don't be concerned. He's fine.
I'm all right.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you for humoring us with those amazing little fun questions. Okay, so after I obviously butchered pro athlete community is what you
Hmm.
you've obviously had a long journey to get here to this point. And we said yesterday when we had a pre-call for this, that like there's literally no role that we could imagine being more perfect for you. It just feels like it embodies everything that you're here to create in the world. So I'm gonna kick it over to you to share with the group. What is it that you do? What are you up to at PAC?
Yeah, pro athlete community. So I've been a part of PAC for um, probably close to 6 years, just doing consulting work for them, and then got brought on full time with my business partner. We like to say that we were their first acquisition because they just wanted us to come work for them so badly. Anyways, so what we do at PAC, we like to call it we're generating the locker room of the future. So if you think about professional athletes and the struggles that they go to as they transition out of sports, so we provide a place for them to be able to reconnect with who they are at their core. We support them in that conversation of creating their purpose, their vision, their goals, and then create opportunities to expose them to industries from finance to podcasting to tech to sales. And yeah, it's super rewarding. And my job specifically is the conversation around this idea of leadership and development. So there's a true belief that within any one of these athletes, they're all leaders in their own way, shape, or form. And so something that I learned a lot at Lululemon about was that you have to be able to lead yourself first before you can lead others and lead the world. And so we really create this container for them to dive into this conversation. And I think we're pretty unique in the realm. You'll see other companies that do this, but they don't take the time to necessarily talk to the whole human being first. They're basically talking to the athlete and trying to get them to move into a specific direction. Whereas we take a lot of time with these members to be able to get them to reconnect to who they are.
That's so incredible. One thing
Mhm.
you said yesterday that I loved was like you don't see them as athletes first, even though that's obviously what how most people treat them is, oh, like you are this incredible, professional athlete. That's your identity. But actually you say, you just see them for who they are as a human, as the
Mhm.
whole human. So I love that.
Mhm.
Um, only slightly cool job, no big deal.
Yeah, it's
Krista,
fun.
Here I
These guys are
am.
huge, though, man. These guys are like you can tell who's the athlete and who's not the athlete when I'm standing beside them. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know.
Turbo, we think about this a lot, and we want to ask you at the top of this conversation,
Mm,
what does community mean to you? And for
yeah.
our friends who are listening, go ahead and pop a few words in the chat if you feel inspired. Like, what is community and what does it mean to you?
Mm, yeah, I would love to hear everybody's words. So I think to me, there's four different words that come up for me. It's connection, belonging, support, and accountability.
Mhm.
Right? Like a true community has all four of those things. Um, and then with that comes this like, I don't know, this intangible feeling of I just need to be around these people all the time. Right. And I miss them when they're gone. Like that to me is a real community.
I love that. I didn't get number four, connection, belonging, support, and
Accountability.
accountability, of course. And
Hmm.
you want to be around them all the time. You miss them when they're gone. I love that. That's such a nice definition. Thanks for sharing.
Hmm.
Mhm.
What did everybody say? I want to see some words.
Yeah, I actually loved Holly throughout safety, which is like
Mm,
that's kind of an interesting new one. We haven't heard that one much, but I love it. Like the just a sense
hmm.
of it does feel like that sense of belonging and safety and yeah, like that you're safe here.
Yeah, you can
Hmm.
Mhm.
authentic self around that community, whatever community you belong to.
Oh,
Nice.
I love that, Holly. I also think that there's something around like a shared vision or shared uh, goal or shared values
Yeah.
that I think is super important.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that makes it safe. To your point, Holly. Uh,
Hmm.
Alignment. Yeah, I love that.
And Michelle's throwing in like fun. It's being in
Oh shoot!
community is
Yeah, I forgot
fun.
about that. Fun.
Yeah. And I think that's part of why we miss each other when we're not around.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
People who show up for each other. Thanks, Connor. I love that.
Yes, I love that too, Connor.
Mm, so good.
Robbie, on this in the spirit of this sense of community and when you've felt it before and missed it when it's not there, can you think about and tell us about a time that you remember experiencing community or the power of community for the first time?
Mm. I was invited to one of the very first, what was before the ambassador program at Lululemon was created. I was invited to like a community gathering of, I guess that were the first ambassadors of yoga teachers in Vancouver by Chip Wilson, founder of Lululemon. And I didn't know any of them. I was definitely not a yogi, so I didn't have anything in common with them. I was definitely not as bendy as a lot of them, but I think what I felt was that shared purpose and the shared values, and so I felt like I was a part of something like right away. And if you know what Chip Wilson has created, like he had a vision of what he wanted to create, and so his vision of what community was something that I was just like mesmerized by, and it was so organic, right? Like there wasn't anything forced by it. It didn't feel like I had to be a part of the group, and I was able to come as I was, and I was accepted unconditionally when I was in that room.
How did you get the invite if you weren't a yoga?
I was his trainer. That's
Ah,
why. Yeah.
got it. So
Um,
he knew that there is a magical energy that you bring, Robbie, and he knew he needed you in that room.
Maybe, I don't know, or maybe he needed a handsome Filipino guy. I don't know. I don't know what he needed in that group, but there was something that brought me there.
Okay, and
Mhm.
then from there, obviously that was even before the days, long before the days that you ended up working at Lululemon.
Hmm.
But how has community building been a red thread through your career, right? Like, I mean, I can share that again, but pre-Lululemon days, anyone, I don't know, anyone else in Vancouver, there was a studio called EJ or Endorphin Junkies. You always have these acronyms that stand for these cool things. But like you were naturally building this community on a different scale, obviously, but at EJ when you were one of the owners there. So how has it sort of community building carried through your career?
Oh my gosh, I feel like every job that I've had or every place that I've gone to or anything that I'm drawn to, it's not even a red thread. It's like a giant rope that goes through, right? Connection is one of my core values. So it's so important for me to have that in anything that I do. I don't know if y'all have heard of the term ikigai before. We've talked about this before at Lululemon. The hedgehog concept. It's kind of like that same type of model, but there's 4 different circles in ikigai. So it's what you're good at, what can be your economic driver, what you're passionate about, and then what brings impact into the world for you. And so for me, like being in community, building community fulfills like a big part of that ikigai, right? So I don't know, you're never gonna see me like on a deserted island by myself thriving. Like I don't think that I would ever be able to survive because I need my people. Like there would never be like a Castaway movie about me. I need community.
I mean, a volleyball just wouldn't cut
No,
it. Okay.
no.
Noted.
Oh, I love that so much. I'm hoping maybe we can share out, and we'll send a follow-up email with the recording to this, but maybe we'll share the link to that framework for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so good. Holly, you want to tell us your fun story?
I want to hear the fun story.
Sure. I mean, I'll try to make it very succinct. So I was with Lululemon for a little over 6 years in a myriad of roles, but a bulk of my tenure at Lululemon was supporting the mirror acquisition. If anyone remembers the fitness mirror. So I was hired as a mirror market manager to essentially like make these things sell in our stores and make guests feel connected to this new product. One of my first relationships that I got into to kind of expand our market in Atlanta was with their key city marketing lead. Robbie, maybe you're familiar with him, but his name is Marvin Gilsay, I think is how you pronounce, or Guelch is how you pronounce his last name. But we ended up putting on this amazing activation that was very last minute, used some store investment, and that relationship ended up the mirror was so successful from that one activation that they decided to have a pop-up activation at the first 10K that Lululemon put on in Atlanta, or maybe it was Houston, getting my cities confused. And then from there, we always stayed close. Flash forward, that was like 3 years ago. I'm in a new role, new company, and we're launching a new app in June to support women's healthcare. And I reached out to him because we kind of still stay connected, similar story on IG, you follow each other's journeys. And I'm like, Marvin, I sent him a voice message. I'm like, hope you're well. This is what I'm up to. Let me know if you see any opportunities for us to collab again. Like we did, back then. It was so memorable. And he's like, hell yes. Like, let's connect in 3 weeks. I know people that are up to similar work that you are. Let's figure out what we can do to make this happen. And so I think that just speaks to like the importance of these valued relationships, even through your career, but like maintaining and nurturing and finding opportunities just to connect the dots, whether you're with a company or you move on. That's been a big driver just in my own success and pursuits, like in my profession.
I love that, Holly. Marvin's one of my favorite humans in the world, by the way.
This is also, I just want to say, Robbie, like the fact that Holly shares some random story about like, some person in Canada, and you're like, oh yeah, I know him. He's one of my favorite people. Like, again, this is Robbie for you all. He knows absolutely everyone and like somehow has these close relationships with these people, even though he's only one person. Like, have you cloned yourself? What is that? I don't know. I don't know how you do it, Robbie, but
it's also, I've been on the earth for a long time, you guys. So there's a part of it that's like with my age. But to Holly, to your point, so one of the things that we say at PAC, one of the ways that we promote this idea of connection and community is that one conversation can change your life. And so are you taking advantage of the opportunities to connect with people, or are you letting them slip by? Even when you don't know if you have anything in common, it's always something that you want to be able to get out of your shell, put on, take the vulnerability pill and put yourself out there, because it's those conversations that can turn into something that you have no idea in the moment that it's going to turn into.
Speaking of my favorite
Curiosity and courage.
KPI, that gave me goosebumps. Thank you for that. Also, the giant rope is like, I think, part of how Robbie ends up in a situation where he's connected with a bajillion humans on the planet. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that story, Holly. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And I feel like you could teach our module on brand collaborations. Thank you. Robbie, this is one of our favorite questions to ask, and I know it won't be easy for you to answer because you have been at the helm of countless of brand activations. But can you share your all-time fave with us? Favorite activation?
Yeah. Okay. So I have. There's two that I'm really excited about, or that I really want to talk about. The first are the first three SeaWheezes, and I know I'm biased because I was a part of them, but there was something that was really amazing to watch, and it wasn't necessarily like watching us what we did, but it was like watching the runners come in, watching the fans come in, and having this like sense of awe and amazement. Right. So there was something that was really cool about how we created the SeaWheeze. Eric Peterson, for all you guys who may know, Eric Peterson was one of the geniuses behind the brand community team for Lululemon for a long time. And he was very unconventional, like really unconventional. And so one of the things that he said to us was that he wants to put on a half marathon, but he doesn't want it. He wants it to look exactly the opposite of how half marathons are going to, how they look. Right. And we were like, what does that mean? You want people running backwards? What does it mean? So I remember at the time, Allison Forsyth and I and Michelle Davies, like we would travel to other marathons and be like, we're going to do that, but not do that. Right. So we would completely flip things on its head. And then what I saw too, in terms of the evolution of 1, 2, and 3, was not only just the race itself, but like the festival, the Sunset Festival that we created alongside of it. I think it was just I remember just standing in Stanley Park when one of the bands were playing. I can't remember which one it was, but just like looking around and seeing like, this is what it feels like to be a part of an amazing activation where people are happy to be there. They don't want to leave. Yeah, exactly, Michelle. The run was just like a run for the party, but yeah, it was a really special. Those were special experiences. The second one that I want to talk about it's an ongoing experience that actually is occurring right now. It's with a group called the Food Runners. It's a very small run group in Toronto, right? But their founder, Chuck Ortiz, he created this group about 10 years ago. He was in the restaurant industry. He looked around, he realized that the people in the restaurant industry are living like really unhealthy lives and leading to not great things, addiction, early untimely deaths. Really wanted to make a difference in the industry. So what he started doing was every Wednesday, he started this 5K run where you would meet at a restaurant, right? You go for a 5K run, and then when you come back, the chef of the restaurant makes a meal for everybody, right? He's been doing that for 10 years. I've been part of that group for the last 3 years. I don't cook anything, but I'm there to support in other ways. It is probably one of my most incredible experiences because there is something beautiful about organizing for a cause. So having a purpose to be able to rally around. So every week we're really trying to get more chefs, more servers, more people in the industry to come in and to experience what a healthy lifestyle could look like. Not only that, but there's something about breaking bread with people on a regular that becomes so nourishing and so heartwarming. I mean, I go every week and like, but when we leave, everybody hugs each other. Like we're never going to see them again. But we'll see them again the next week. And it's so beautiful. And then add to the fact that you get cooked a delicious meal from a chef at a Toronto restaurant. Yeah. So that's one that's like top of mind right now.
Amazing. Such great examples. Thanks for giving us a couple to chew on. Awesome. You
Oh,
go, me.
nice pun there, Krista. I liked that.
Mhm.
I
Well
loved
done, well done.
I'm hopeful. My internet has been a little spotty, so if I chop out, Krista, just save me.
You're
But
good.
I love that you shared an example of like the most unattainable activation, which is SeaWheeze, or it feels a little unattainable because it's this huge, thousands of people. But then you shared something that's happening in your community in Toronto that's like small, grassroots, and like I don't know, you almost spoke with more passion about the second one, like the smaller one. So I love that you brought that. We talk about that a lot at Community Academy. The 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 power of all sizes and shapes of activations, like as long as you've got the why is there at the front and center.
Yeah, love that.
Okay, well that was we've been talking a lot about the fun, shiny, happy stuff. Let's get into some of the more controversial stuff. What is the hardest part? What's the hardest part about building community? Let's say as a brand, right? From a brand lens. What's the hardest part,
Yeah.
Rob?
I feel like community is always a hard thing to prove that you're doing it well. There's no objective metric that really truly encompasses the success of an event or a campaign. Especially now, I kind of feel like community has turned into an overused term in the guise of marketing, and that's tough. And I think it's just something that will remain to be tough all the time. So it's difficult in the sense from a brand perspective to be able to trust that the dollars in the sense that you're putting into a community activation will come back to you. But then you'll talk to anybody who's worked like on the Lululemon community team is like, Lululemon was built on community. So it does work. It really does. And what I think sometimes happens is that brands lack the patience to understand that community is a slow burn, but it builds mountains. Whereas I think marketing
quote right there.
Yeah, like and the mountains. Listen, like it's crazy because I still have people come up to me and talk to me about the SeaWheeze. And it's like, dude, that was like 12, 13 years ago. Like, let's move on here. But just the fact that there's still conversation about it tells me that it left like a really strong imprint. And I feel like brands right now are too quick. It's like too quick. They want the community very quickly. They want it to have resonance quickly, and it's hard to impart that statement of community being a slow burn.
150%. I think because there have been not if you agree, we went through sort of this heyday recently where, brands were actually seeing that they could create short-term results, right? Like throw some money into some social ads and you're going to see an actual return on investment, right? Your ROAS, it's great. It's like, why wouldn't we do this? Why do we need to invest in brand? Why do we need to create brand awareness? Why do we need to put money into something where it's not a 1-to-4 ratio, right? And I'm happy, actually. I hate to say it, it's made everyone's lives more challenging, but your lives should be challenging as you're solving problems every day. You're trying to figure out how to grow in a way that's differentiated, right? Rather than you're just one of many, you're just in the sea, this pool of brands out there. So I think building a brand through community is hard. It's not the easy path, but it's the path that leads to being around and being a going concern in 5, 10 years down the road, right? So
yeah. Connor had a good question that I'd like to address. So I'd love to hear what brands get wrong when they're trying to invest in community without naming names. I'll say this, and I hope I'm not going to offend any marketers out there, but I feel like sometimes brands will hire marketers to execute or create long-lasting communities. I think that that there are people out there that have, like Michelle and like Christa, who've been integral in building long-lasting communities, and we will sometimes forget about that and hire marketers out there that have great track records from a traditional marketing perspective, but may not know how to build community in an organic way. And that's nothing against marketing. That's people they will go to what their strengths are, right? But I would have to say that there needs to be a stronger push to give true community builders the time, space, and resources to be able to do what they need to do. I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, I think there have been a lot of brands that have said that they're investing in community, and then a year later they're gone. And to me, that is like the biggest betrayal of community building. It's like, it should be a sign of the priorities of a brand when you see them not try to stick around for at least 3-4 years to be able to support. I've seen that with a lot of the run crews here in Toronto, them getting support for a little while, and then for whatever reason, all of a sudden it's gone. And it's awful to watch. It is absolutely awful to watch.
Yeah, and then like Michelle said, trust and safety broken, gone out the window, and it's the authenticity is just wiped off the table.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, it's hard. You need to have the conviction to be able to build community, and so but it's possible. Like I was just telling you about Chuck and the Food Runners.
Totally. I think something I want to highlight that comes up for me as I hear you speak, and when I think about Connor's question, is that when we give with expectation of something in return, I think it completely devalues the spirit or the value of service, contribution, impact. It's like when we give from a place of wanting to give or share, we create this like magnetic pull for others to want to do the same. And I think so many brands get it wrong when they give with a hardcore expectation that there's going to be like a transaction that completes or sharing that comes. So I think that that's a really key part, is like giving because you want to give and because it's rooted in your why and your purpose, whether it's as an individual or a brand, creates magic. And when you give because you're looking to get something back immediately, it breaks.
Yeah, for sure. That's an interesting question, Connor. Does every brand I think what I'm taking from that question is like, does every brand need to build community? It's a fair question. Maybe not. And I know that some of the best brands that are doing community have built internal communities very powerfully. So there's a reason why Michelle, Christa, Michelle Walden, even you, Connor, and Molly, that we're all connected still because we were connected through an internal community and culture that was really powerful. So I think of community, it doesn't necessarily have to be always this like guest facing thing. Like if you can't build community within your own team, then how are you supposed to build it outside to the rest of the world?
Love.
Right. So.
Yep.
Right, Molly? She's getting her hair done, but you struck a chord with her, so I'll speak up on her behalf. The relationship, like you can't create fanatical, loyal, lifelong customers and followers of your brand before creating that spirit and culture internally first. Full stop.
I'll pop in if you don't mind too. I can't stay quiet on this one. I mean, that's I think what Lululemon did so brilliantly. Yes, I worked in leadership development at Lululemon, but I also always with community, always. And that was the beauty of the overlap there. It was all one thing: people development, community, everything. And Robbie, when I heard you were coming on, I was like, that is who he is. He was I mean, I met you at SeaWheeze, and then a minute later we were at Brew Creek doing leadership development. So I think that was the magic sauce there, was it wasn't separate. It was all one.
Yeah. And I get it. Like, there are going to be companies to Connor, where like there are going to be brands and companies that are purely transactional, that you don't need to have community. And I wouldn't choose to work at those companies.
Exactly.
Like who I am right now is who I am for Pack, is who I was for Mariana Tech, is who I was for Lululemon. And I think that is like a really important thing, to be able to have that consistency.
I love that answer. And sorry, I'll just jump in here for a sec. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons I asked it is because it's something that I hear come up pretty often. And so I'm just curious to get your take. And I'm certainly not a community development expert or anything, but I'll typically throw that back at people and say, okay, well then why do you choose to work there? Like what, or why did you start this business? And sometimes the answer is like, I don't know, we make money. I'm like, cool, just go do that.
Yeah.
That's all you need
and
to
that's
do.
cool. If that's somebody's path, and that's somebody's path, right?
Connor,
Yeah.
that was going to be my answer, was, do you have a why that's bigger than selling toilet paper? If yes, great. Let's rally some people around it. And again, it can be your internal team and start and end there. But if you don't have a why, okay, greater than, we're just going to sell as many units of this product that we have. Cool. Move along, right?
I love starting with internal culture too, right? Because like if there's something there, then maybe you're onto something. If not, then maybe you don't have community, and that's fine.
Yeah. I love that, and I wouldn't work there.
Yeah, I was going to say, and then you may also then have people come and go as your employees as well, right? Like, you're going to miss out on that opportunity for loyalty and long-term brand love. Even with your internal team, you're going to have that turnover, and it's okay. Same with your customers. It's okay. Christa, I know we have one more burning question for Robbie before
I feel like we have two, but I love how conversational this is. And so that we're getting to hear from our friends on the call. So let's keep rolling.
Yeah. And I want to learn from y'all too, by the way. This is not, I'm still growing and learning. So if you have something to offer, please speak up.
Yeah. Well, Mish, do you want to, I'll ask it on your behalf because I still feel like unsatisfied.
Oh yes, I did miss a question.
No, that's okay. I love this question. How do you know then that your efforts in community building are paying off, or if they're successful?
Yeah. That once again goes back to the whole KPI conversation. It's, you can rely upon those objective measures like NPS, and survey data and all that stuff. But like, man, it's just a feeling, honestly. It's just that feeling, and people wanting to come back, people talking about it, that long lasting effect of people remembering specific details about your experience that you're like, I can't even remember we did that. Like, and that's what you remembered. And so it's that. And I think there's also something around when you get a lot of that subjective feedback from people. I listen a lot to how you've made people feel. Right. So how did I make you feel? So when, like at Pack, for instance, when I talked to some of the guys after our experiences, and I asked them, I'm like, so like, what did that feel like when you're there? And I know I'm winning. I know that we're winning at Pack when guys say it felt like the locker room again. It felt like I was supported. It felt like I was, able to banter and have fun and be myself. So it's stuff like that it's really hard to put an objective measurement onto it, but that feeling is, I would imagine we've all felt that in some way, shape, or form.
Time. Tell that to your CFO, but
yeah, I think if you don't mind, I want to just give a quick shout out to our Mustang Survival girls. Teresa and Brie are on the call right now, and hi. Oh, look, there's PFDs in the background. So cool.
Product is represented.
If you don't know Mustang Survival, Google it. Legacy brand, Canadian founded. I'm obsessed. But these girls asked us a question like this on a recent group coaching call that we host every month when you're part of Community Academy. We got into the conversation of KPIs and how do we like show our executives, our leaders, that our efforts are working. And we have had several conversations about many different ways that you can do this. But the thing that came up for me that I want to share with everybody here and also everyone who listens to this call is like what I've seen work really well is get them involved. Like arm them with the backpack full of product or the shiny new like life jacket or like bodysuit, and have them give it to somebody totally unexpected in the community and create a moment of surprise and delight, or have them show up at your trade show booth and be in charge of the email newsletter sign up activation, or giving prizes away every hour to those who are participating, or be at the finish line of SeaWheeze putting a medal on someone's neck for the very first time. So I don't know. I just think like Robbie nailed it when he said, how do you know it's working? You know, because you can feel it and others can feel it. And so how can you get your senior leaders, founders, peers involved in creating that kind of feeling? Because then you won't have to put business cases together anymore.
I'll tell you a true story about that. So when we were still doing consulting for PAC, Jay and I, we had done a bunch of events with PAC already, and our new CEO was like, "Cool, you guys this is great. Obviously you know what you're doing, and we need to focus on getting more CEOs to come in and talk to the guys as a way to get them incited for this next step." And we're like, "No, we don't need more CEOs. We need more time to dive in with these guys, right?" And so he was very, very skeptical at first. And then in Tampa, like 2 years ago, we put him in a group with some of the other guys, and we did a core values exercise. And I just remember looking over at the table when he was in it, and he was bawling, right? Because he is talking about some stuff that he hadn't talked about in a long time. And then Jay and I walked outside. He chased us down and he said, "This is amazing.
I get it.
This is so cool. Like, we should be doing this all the time." I'm like, "No, dude, we've been doing this all the time." But the fact that he was in it and he was like truly connected to it personally, to your point, Christa, like changed the game. And then after that, that's when we got acquired.
I remember just Duke Stump, like we could go on, and I want to add that, but he was an executive that was brand new to Lululemon when Michelle and I and Turbo and the other Michelle, we were all there. And we would, encourage him to come and be a part of what we were creating. And the man would be in the front row crying, hugging, like talking about his feelings. It was so cool to see this, like, former Nike exec show up and participate in these experiences and demonstrate his own personal transformation. It's just an example of like where I feel like we did that well. Like we didn't have to ask for money anymore once we got Duke in the immersion or at the yoga teacher training or whatever. Okay, last question, and then we're going to open it up to hear from the group. But Robbie, you and I have something in common, which I know we're both really passionate about and good at, and it's around the intersection between community building and leadership development, and the magic that can create when those two ideas come together. What would you say? How do these ideas relate? And how have you seen this work in your work?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we're not called Pro Athlete Community just randomly, right? And the things that I talked about community in terms of the idea of connection, belonging, but like more so the idea of support and accountability. In my mind, a good community creates growth within its membership. right? So what could growth look like? Could growth look like, for some guys in pack, it's like finding a job. For some of them, it's like getting more skill acquisition. For some of them, it's like better relationships, right? And so to me, those two things go hand in hand with each other. If you can create a strong community, it's the perfect conditions for growth, right? And so, you have people there that are going to be your champions. You have people there that are going to be your accountability buddies, right? And so that's the one thing. If anybody asks me like, well, how do I create like a powerful community? It's like you need to, first of all, create the safety. People were talking about safety, but then also like some type of goal orientation is always really helpful. Whether it's like training for a marathon or whether it's like, personal growth, whatever it is, and then create the systems for accountability and support. And that's what we've done. And what I think is really beautiful to watch right now, because we've been in business for a couple of years, it creates this virtuous cycle. We're creating this virtuous cycle where there are players that have gone through our program, members that have gone through our program, and now they are coming back to pick people up and be like, I was there. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you move forward. There are tons of guys who want to become performance coaches. So I'm actually getting certified to certify them to become coaches. And it's like a beautiful thing. And so creating that virtuous cycle is a byproduct of being able to create growth through community.
Yeah,
Wow, I actually think you just re-answered your other question about how something is successful. You've created a virtuous cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You can go and say like, okay, we've done this, and now suddenly like it's no longer us that's actually keeping this thing fired up. It's other people are doing it for us. Like, and this can also be said for an online community, right? Like someone says something about your brand, and instead of before your own team can show up and speak to that, like others come to your defense in a way.
Totally.
So yeah, I love
Yeah.
that cycle. So powerful.
So good, Robbie. Thank you. I think another thing, like what Michelle and I come across in our work is that a lot of like brand marketing or community leaders feel like they don't have enough access to resources to be able to like meaningfully contribute to the humans that they're trying to build relationships with, whether it's like influencers or ambassadors. And what I would say to that is like, and like we don't have the big budgets or the money. And I would say that the answer is like, I underscore what Robbie said. How can you help these humans grow? How can you contribute to their growth? And the fastest way to be able to do that is to understand their goals and their aspirations and what they want to like create or accomplish or achieve, and then get creative about how you can help them do that. Is so much more valuable and impactful than a paycheck.
Here's a bunch of money. Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thanks for helping us land that one. Okay, we want to hear from you. Connor, your questions have been so great. Are you feeling satisfied? Like, you had one earlier. Should we go back to one of your earlier questions in the chat? Anyone else?
I think Robbie nailed them. Yeah, I mean, I had a question, and Michelle kind of answered it about like, and this is just kind of a personal observation, being kind of on the outside of the Lululemon community, that like there's so many folks, like everyone here, who don't work for the company anymore, who like obviously are still in this quote community. I think of businesses like Kokomo even, or like, and I guess I have theories, but like I haven't really been able to nail like what makes that community so special, because every other company tries to do that and nobody has really been able to do it in the same way, even in this like I said, and lots of you haven't worked for the company for almost a decade, and there's still this like tight-knit group.
Oh my.
Yeah, I have something on that, and I think that this is I've just recently been able to put words to it, and it's something that I do at Pro Athlete Community when we're talking about what are the rules of engagement with the community, of like how are you expected to show up, or how do you get the most out of this. And it's this idea of radical caring. It's that I look at the people in my community and I care. I take like a very deep, compassionate view of who they are, what's important to them, what they need, and I take it to heart when they don't get there, and I champion them when they do get there. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a reason why Christa and Michelle were able to just like text me and be like, "You want to do this?" And I was like, "Hell yeah." Because like I can't, there's like a deep care that I have for them, but also that they've had for me over the past 15, 20 years. Like it's incredible. And I think the second that we start to adopt this idea of like radically caring for the people in your community, and I know it's tough because sometimes you have like a lot of people in your community, but I would just see what happens if you were just to employ that strategy of like what is like the step one of caring for somebody, and then what's like the 3 steps above that you can show your community.
Yeah. So well said. And at times 1,000. And something else that I think about, Connor, a lot when people ask me this question, or when I ask myself, like why, like Michelle had a post recently, like, why are we still talking about Lululemon? It's still going viral, that post. But what I would say that like was part of the magic, one of the pieces of the equation, was the incredible autonomy, creative freedom and autonomy that we were given to, take a brief and then go and make it happen. So just like so much room to test, learn, fail, and then like try again and try again. And I think autonomy and like creative freedom come up for me a lot when I think of what made our chapters there so special.
I don't want to dominate this whole period, but maybe I can just get your quick hot takes on this, because as an outsider, here's what I've observed. That first of all, starting as a small company and growing quickly, I think there was like a genuine feeling that you were like elevating the world from mediocrity to greatness. Like there was like a common purpose. And then even just like, I mean, there's a phrase that you've all heard, which is like, you can't spell culture without cult. And like you all had your own common language and like things that you did that like people from the outside didn't really understand. And so that like sense of being connected in that way, I'm just thinking about this as like things that businesses can take away and like apply to their own. And those two things feel pretty unique to Lululemon to me.
The one
I love that.
as my hot take is teams who sweat together stay together. So of course, like, going to a yoga class or doing something physical was inherently part of the culture of Lululemon. And even if that doesn't relate, if you're selling toilet paper, I actually believe that, and it's something I've like honestly tried and failed. I've fallen flat on my face. I've tried to, anytime I'm not doing work travel and I have colleagues, I'm like, all right, see you at this Pilates class, or like, hey, let's go for a run or what have you. And I've failed before where no one else shows up and I'm like, cool, I'm just by myself. But like there is a magic in, I guess it could be summed up as doing something hard together, like do something uncomfortable together, that will just like that solidify that bond.
And everything you said, and be in the context of your product, service, or offering together always, every day, like be in the water if you're Mustang survival, like be in the give me another brand.
Well, I was gonna say, you're talking about one of our upcoming Brand Together guests. You're teasing it because be in the water.
That's right. Yeah.
Saying more, I'm gonna keep to be mysterious about this.
I love it. Yeah, but be in the context of your product, service, or offering with your community as often as possible, ideally every single day. And then you're having fun, and when you're having fun, it's magnetic, and people want to be a part of it. They want to join. Other questions?
I wanted to weigh in real quick too, because there's the element that I'm hearing too of like family, family and community, and that, if you're starting at Lululemon at like the early stages of your career, and you're at the early stage of the company's development, there's this like symbiosis of like the timelines matching of like building your family, your community at that moment. You're talking about 15, 20 years of friendship and community. what's also interesting is the integration of like existing companies with new members into that family and having that shared purpose and internalizing, even if it is toilet paper, like what is the reason why we're here? And it's the humanity of it. It's yes, the product, but it's the experience together.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Connor, I think you nailed it with the vision piece, right? Like working towards one vision. Super important.
Yeah.
Dare I do a last call for any questions? You know what? We have 2 minutes left. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, we sure do.
Or comments?
I just wanted to say real quick, Robbie, I would love to connect with you offline. I think there's a lot of like shared parallels, and I'm just really curious on what you're doing. It sounds really impactful. And so,
Of course.
Yes.
I'll put my
Elliot, I had when you asked me about who should be at your men's retreat facilitating, Robbie was in my brain, and I'm so glad that you came so you could meet.
Thank you.
Yeah, Elliot, I just put my handle in the.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you for doing my job for me, Robbie. Where can people find you? They can find you on Tubajon.
Yeah, I learned
no one
that
can ever
today
pronounce
for the
your
first
last
time.
name, me included.
No, that's totally fine. There's 2 ways of pronouncing it.
Yeah, that was I learned that today too, Robbie. What, like 15 something years later? Tubajon.
All good.
But I'll do a couple quick PSAs here.
Okay, we would love your support in spreading the word about Brand Together, our monthly live communication series. So would you be so kind as to sign up for our newsletter so that you can stay in the loop about who our future guests are coming, because we want as many little tiles on this screen as possible so that we can have more inspiring and interactive conversations like this one. So yeah, I dropped the link in the chat and I have a QR code here as well.
Amazing.
And what else, Mish?
Our next session is June 12th. So we are going to be announcing our next special guest very soon here. And if you know of anyone that you would want to hear from, hit us up. We are still creating our lineup for the rest of the year. So.
And we have brought the dudes hard in our first 2 episodes of Brand Together, and we have some very lovely and inspiring ladies coming up for you to connect with and super.
And PAC is also launching a women sports oriented program too, right, Robbie? So it's no longer just the guys in the locker room. So I love that. Thank you, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Thanks for being here.
Robbie, for being our guest.
Bye, y'all.
Big
Go
love.
be in
Speak
community.
soon. See you guys.